Morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do our March 24th just for today in a meditation. How are you doing this morning? It's good to be with you. Let's see what we have here. The title of today's meditation, Letting Go of the Past. Letting go of the past. It is not where we were that counts, but where we are going. That comes from our basic text, page 23. When we first find recovery, some of us feel shame or despair at calling ourselves addicts. In the early days, we may be filled with both fear and hope as we struggle to find new meaning in our lives. The past may seem inescapable and overpowering. It may be hard to think of ourselves in any way other than the way we always have. While memories of the past can serve as reminders of what's waiting for us if we use again, they can also keep us stuck in a nightmare of shame and fear. Though it may be difficult to let go of those memories, each day in recovery can bring us that much farther away from our active addiction. Each day, we can find more to look forward to and less to punish ourselves for. In recovery, all doors are open to us. We have many choices. Our new life is rich and full of promise. While we cannot forget the past, we don't have to live in it. We can move on. Just for today, I will pack my bags and move out of my past into a present filled with hope. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the wee version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you, God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. So we're talking about letting go of the past. I think that's an interesting topic. It's one that I think honestly I have never perfectly done, but my intention has always been to do it. Right. So let me unpack that. Letting go of the past, in my mind, is not necessarily forgetting it. Right. It's forgiving it. Let me repeat that. In my mind, letting go of the past is not necessarily forgetting it, but it is forgiving it. Self-love to me is my ability to make space for myself, to move past my errors or things that I've done that at one time caused me guilt and shame. So a lot of times dealing with our loved ones, dealing with children, family members, we have a tendency to make room for them to transgress against us. I mean, they can do things, and a lot of times because we love them so much, we don't really ever think about forgiving them. It's something that we just naturally do. And unfortunately, if they're like us, in their addiction or are like how we used to be, they might be playing games with us, but our minds don't necessarily go there, right? We just, for the benefit of the family, the unity of the family, we have a tendency to have already forgiven them long before they approach us. We made it make sense, right? Here's the thing, we can do that for other people, but I find it more difficult for me to do it for myself. So if I'm having a bad day, my negative self-talk is probably amped up. Well, you can just forget that goal because you did such and such and you saw how that worked out. And remember when you did such, it's automatic. It's not, I don't have to think very hard about all of my failures from the past. They just all of a sudden seem like they're just standing at the gate, ready to come rush right in. Soon as you crack the gate open a little bit, they're just ready, right? Um, to maximize their potential, which is to get you discouraged, to get you to feel defeated, and to get you to stop trying to move forward in the right direction. So letting go of the past to me is about not necessarily forgetting, but forgiving myself. Now, this is the thing about forgiveness. This is what I've learned. I was taught it, but I eventually came to learn it for myself, appreciate it for myself. Forgiveness is putting compassion, empathy, love in front of the error, right? So if I'm forgiving someone, once I've dealt with it, once we've talked about it, once have extended the forgiveness, it's kind of like beating a dead horse to bring it back up. The only purpose it would have for me to bring it back up to them is because I'm trying to remind them of who they've been with me in the past and all that I have done to try and make this relationship work in spite of all of the dirt that they've done towards me, right? So it's self-serving, and it's to try and manipulate them into feeling guilty or ashamed, and to make room for me to be able to do whatever it is I think I'm trying to do, right? I might just be trying to shut them up, right? And I'll be like, please, I remember when you did such and such. Okay, so I just basically said, I forgave you for a period of time. I did not forget it, and I will use it anytime I want against you. That's why people say we need to forgive and forget, right? People say we need to forgive and forget. We need to not bring things back up. But actually, I don't think it's possible to forget all of that, right? But we don't have to bring it up. We don't have to rub it in their faces. That's what that means. But we're quick to do it for ourselves as well, right? We're quick to rub it in our own face, right? To remind ourselves of all of the stupid things, harmful things that we've ever done. So why would you try to be better? It's who you are, right? Letting go of the past, I would say, if I could have a title to a book, you know, you've heard those books, The Art of Listening, The Art of War. It would be The Art of Letting Go of the Past, because it is something that develops. It's not automatic. There are things that you can do to help yourself let go of the past. One of them is to recognize that you're living in the past, that you won't let yourself move past it. Another one of them is to stop engaging individuals that will not let you let go of the past, right? Those people in your life that are trying to always constantly remind you. Now, I'm not saying if being around them makes you think about all of the stuff. That is just shame, embarrassment sometimes. If you're around certain people and you automatically, they haven't said anything to you about all the dirt you've done, right? but you automatically go to it in your own mind, I'm not talking about that. That is an inside job. That is your problem because they're not even trying to remind you of it. You're just going there. You haven't forgiven yourself. Okay. I'm not talking about that. But if you're around people that are always taking your past and rubbing it in your face, they get to go on your prayer list and let them go. Move past it because this new life that we're living is too great and too beautiful to be stuck in the past. Everybody makes mistakes. Some mistakes are greater than others and have higher consequences. The wreckage of your past as a formula to be dealt with. In Narcotics Anonymous, in the 12-step program, as you start to list the things that you've gone through, which, mind you, only comes after, right? Only comes after the third step, where you start to make a list of the different things that you've gone through. And you share it with someone, God and another human being. And then you go on to list your character defects and then your shortcomings, right? You become ready to have those character defects entirely removed from you. There is a precise surgery to remove all of those things. There's steps to take, literally, to remove all those things from your present being in the sense of they don't control you anymore, okay? So if you're around someone, in my opinion, that just won't let you get past the past, you don't need them in your today and you don't need them in your tomorrow. Think about how you can disconnect. If it's like a deep level of harm that you've caused and you feel like you have to stay in that because you want to see it through, talk to your sponsor. Oh, don't have a sponsor? Get one. Have the conversation with your sponsor because it's possible, depending on the type of injury, they may never be able to get past it. And I just don't see staying in something indefinitely out of guilt. If you think leaving or letting those relationships go will cause further harm, and that's exactly what you're trying to avoid, have the conversation with them. You need to stop bringing this up, right? An example. Let me give you an example, and then I'll let you go. You're still with your significant other that you were with when you were using. When you were using, you used her or him. You were very absent, not present for the children that you had together. And you were a cheat. And they know it. And every time today, even though you are clean, let's say you are clean over a year, right? Because that first, you might struggle in that first year to win their faith, right? But just say you have proven to them that you're not going anywhere, you're clean and you're sticking and staying, but every few days you're arguing about all the stuff that you used to do. You really want to stay with them, but this is like so demeaning and so discouraging, and you really still don't even want to come home anymore because of the agony that is created when you're home. The constant conversation about how no good you used to be, right? Or how well they've taken care of you when you were using. And now it's the same behavior. You're gone all the time. They're still taking care of everything financially, right? And just rubbing it in your face, how much you actually need them. So is this something that is a sit down conversation? If it's high risk, right? It will cause a lot of harm stepping aside from this relationship or situation. It could be a job, I don't know, but it would cause a lot of harm. You have a few things that you want to take in consideration. What are the pros and the cons of sticking and staying? Have you had a sit down conversation where you've expressed not your apology, not your willingness to make amends? You've already tried to do that, and they already have indicated that they forgave you. Have a conversation about what forgiveness looks like in your view, and what it might look like in their view. And that you really need to stop having the past rubbed in your face. You don't want to hear about it anymore. It's very defeating, it's very discouraging, and you're trying to live up to your end and be a different person, but you cannot continue in this type of relationship that is so demeaning all of the time. That's a conversation. If the risk is high, that's a conversation. And that's a conversation with I would say, a time period attached to it. It needs to stop. It needs to get better. I can't, every day I'm going out here doing such and such and such and such and coming back home to constant beef about everything wrong that I've ever done. But you can't point to anything currently that I'm doing, right? So if you're still resentful, hateful towards me, you can't forgive me. I wouldn't say I deserve it, but I brought it on myself. I'm a different person today, or at least I'm trying to be. You can't point to anything that I'm doing right now that is anywhere near close to the imbecile that I used to be. I'm trying to give myself a break. I'm going to need you to give me a break. And if you can't give me a break, I'm going to have to take a break for myself and go for it by myself, because I can't continue to live this life like this. A lot of people don't want to hear that. I'm sorry, but the worst thing for anyone is to constantly be in a cesspool that they've already pulled themselves out of, but someone keeps pulling them back into. We have choices today. We have many choices. In recovery, all doors are open to us. We have many choices. Our new life is rich and full of promise. While we cannot forget the past, we don't have to live in it. We can move on. Point blank, period. I will pack my bags and move out of my past into a present filled with hope. That is easy for me to read. Understand me. I know it's easy for me to say, it's easy for me to read. But the process of believing it and actually doing it is not just about us being able to forgive ourselves and getting past that. Because sometimes we find ourselves still in a place with others where they're not moving past it. So this meditation is for you mostly to apply to how you treat yourself. But to be very much aware that how you're treating yourself tells its own story sometimes by the type of people we hang out with and continue to hang out with, and the type of treatment we continue to put up with. So that, like I said, may be a conversation with a sponsor where you need to really weigh this out. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. Hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose.